Home is where connections are made, memories are formed, and ideas are born. And no one knows home better than NFM. Thanks for tuning in to I Am Home, the podcast that goes deeper than trends and dives into what it means to make your house a home.
Hello! So glad you joined us for another episode of I Am Home. I'm Tyler Weiskup, recording in lovely NFM studios, and I'm joined by podcasting royalty. She is our queen, Becca Sutton.
Oh my gosh. Hi, Tyler.
Hi, Becca. And of course, we have our royal jester, Hilary. Welcome back.
Hey.
Hi, Hilary, our visual display general manager. I'm just kidding, Hilary. No, you're more like a duchess, I think.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And all June month, we are debunking home life myths. And today should be a really fun one because we're joined by a panel of home life experts to talk parenting myths. And I'm so excited for these folks. But before we get to them officially, let me tell you why we're even doing this podcast. And that's because NFM is more than just your everything home store. We're in the business of improving lifestyles because your home life should be your best life. You can learn more at nfm.com. And like I said, I think you're in for a treat today because my guests, along with our resident mom on the pod, Becca, are here to debunk some parenting myths. We're joined by Jennifer Bryan, Derek Paben, and Ann Woodford. Hi.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Well, Jennifer Bryan is NFM's general manager of content marketing. And a mom, and we've got Derek Paben, our creative manager, and a dad. And then last but not least, Ann Woodford is NFM's newest brand strategist and a mom. So welcome to you all. And I wonder if we can kind of just jump in with maybe everyone has a chance to recognize your voice with a little explanation of how many kids you have, their ages, and I think we decided on your worst parenting moment. So
That was easier to come up with.
yeah.
Derek,
A lot more options there.
Okay, well, I'm excited to hear it. So Derek, why don't we start with you?
All right. Derek Paben, and I have two kids. My oldest is my daughter. She is 16. She's a sophomore. It's one day left of school of being a sophomore. And my youngest is 13, and he is a seventh grader. Kylie and Noah are their names.
Awesome. And your worst?
My worst.
Moment.
Oh, yeah. Let's really highlight that. So it's got to be when my son was in the Boy Scouts and the Derby was coming up. I am not a handy guy, and we went to Lowe's or something and found one of those pre-made cars, and he picked probably, which I knew was going to be the slowest option. And he just really wanted it. And so I was like, all right, bud, we'll do that. And so he painted it, got it all ready to go. And when we showed up, I could tell the other dads were like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. So they were trying to, I don't know if you guys know the trick, but they put pennies on the bottom. Yeah, they weighed it down. Yeah. They were trying their best to help me out. And sure enough, he went dead last. And I was laughing, and he looked back and he saw me laughing, and he thought I was laughing at him, and I was laughing at myself because I'm just terrible. I had no expertise in this area. So I had to talk him through it. I felt bad, but you get an award for being the slowest one.
Ooh.
And so he got an award that day.
Okay.
So it all turned out okay. He realized dad didn't know what he was doing in this realm. So that was probably the worst moment I had, but we got past it.
Yeah.
Is
Sounds
the
like quick
slowest
recovery.
Derby car award still displayed at home?
I believe it's in his room.
Okay.
And is it a medal or
it's
like
it's
a?
this
Is
little?
it like a duck? We got a duck. I think we maybe got the last place also.
Yeah, it was.
I'm not we, as in I didn't have anything to do with it. But.
Yeah, it was a little trophy. I cannot remember. I think it's either on his dresser for some weird reason or in his closet. One of the two. But yeah, it's a little trophy. But I have some great pictures. He was super young. It was a fun day, except for when he thought I was laughing at him, which I clearly was not laughing at him.
No.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
Well, good story, Jennifer. Let's go to you next.
Well, I will say that as I have two boys, Sam and Jake, 12 and 9, so 7th grade and 3rd grade. But neither one of them are in Boy Scouts. And so I was like, Derby? So like horses? We're going to a race? Did you miss something because you were going to like go drink a mint julep? No, I don't know anything about that. So I couldn't, that was all new for me. Well, luckily my kid won't remember this, but the first thing I thought of when it was like worst parenting mistake was when my oldest, we lived in Dallas at the time, when my oldest was a baby, he used to be at the daycare at my office, which was like 40 miles away. And we had to take like a speedy Texas tollway where everyone's going 95 miles an hour the whole time.
Okay.
It always used to scare me. And I was putting him in his car seat and, he's probably like a year and a half or something like that. And it was one of those where he had like one of those really disgusting kid sneezes where it's like snot all over their face. Like while I'm buckling him in, I'm like, oh my God, it's so gross. And so you're like grabbing Kleenex or whatever you have nearby, like wipe it off, just like get this over with. So gross. And so I do that. And then I get in the car and we drive the 45 minutes or whatever it takes to get there at like top speeds. And we finally get off the tollway and I'm waiting at a red light to turn into the office building. And I see in the mirror him like turn around in his seat, like in a very awkward way. And I like flip around and he's not buckled.
Oh.
Not buckled.
Oh, boy.
Because got distracted by snot, did not complete the buckling in.
Yeah.
So my kid was just freewheeling it. In the backseat, my baby was just back there like rocking out the whole time. And so then you get that like PTSD because we're all fine. We're like parking, we're off the road, but it's like, oh my God, what did I do? And he doesn't know. He just had like a really comfortable ride,
This
I
was
guess.
more enjoyable than the
I
usual
know.
commute.
So after that, it's like you have that panic of like, will I never tell anyone or will I tell everyone on the podcast?
Now
Told
everybody.
everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're fine.
Yeah. That wasn't so bad. I mean, it could
Yeah.
be way worse.
Yeah.
He just won't know.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Unless he listens to the podcast.
So
So,
he'll never know.
okay, let's move on to Ann.
I have a 4-year-old little boy named Max. He is very much a COVID baby. St. Patty's Day 2020, the day that
Nice.
Omaha shut
Oh my
down.
gosh.
Oh.
So it was very much me, my husband, and one nurse for basically the entire process. So that was terrifying. I feel like I've already learned a lot of things in this room. So thank you. I feel like my worst moment so far is one of those, like, I'll never scream at my kids, right? I chose violence that morning when I woke up and I screamed at him. And it was hilarious after the fact because he screamed right back at me everything that I've ever screamed at him.
Oh.
It was like a mini me just like screaming in my face.
Uh-huh.
And I felt so guilty, but also proud at the moment too. So I don't feel like that qualifies necessarily as worse, but like I had that like gut moment of like, I'm awful. But we survived.
Yeah.
And he still talks back
Yeah.
in the same way that I talk to him.
I think that I agree with the sentiment of a little bit of pride to that,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
able to take what you gave and give it right back. I
Mhm.
mean, that bodes well for his future in industry, I would say.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, well, we brought you on to talk parenting myths, so I want to jump in. The first myth that I'd like to tackle is a baby doesn't have to change your life. That's true, right?
You try.
Good luck with that.
Does it live with you?
You need to feed it right.
So it's not true, you guys are saying.
That a baby
Yeah.
doesn't change your life. Well,
Yeah.
I think that's what's hilarious. Obviously, in all the good and the scary ways, they say you'll never be as scared as, it's like you've just entered into like a world where you care more about this small human than anything ever else. And so you're just scared for the rest of your life after that.
So that's what.
So you live in
yeah,
fear.
Yeah.
Nothing changes.
The biggest thing that changes, nothing changes, but then the fear inside of you is like the biggest change that I'm hearing. Am I bouncing
Well, I'm
that
not
back
speaking for
correctly.
everyone,
No,
but
no,
I will
for
speak
you.
for me.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. There's just a new level of fear, because I feel like you kind of live life a little fearless, and then you bring this human into the world, and it's like this whole level of cautiousness, just trying to be cautious of everything. And the thing I think about is bringing our daughter home. She was early, and we brought her home right at 5 pounds. So she's this tiny little thing, and when they're below 5 pounds, you can't bring them home. And what's the movie? Knocked Up, at the end of it. I don't know if you've seen anybody's seen that, but that was totally my wife and I and our baby Kylie. She's got blankets stuffed in around her. She's this 5 pound little baby, and I'm driving maybe 20 miles an hour. Like, I don't want to turn too fast. I don't want her head to, turn too much. So that's just kind of an example of how, immediately it changes your life. Yeah. I've got other like driving stories where, but I that story, my wife and I still talk about that story about how slow we're driving, and like people driving speed limit, we're like, slow down, you're going way too fast. So a 10-minute drive probably took us about 30 minutes. So
my experience changed before Max arrived. Like, we were with friends out watching, everybody goes out for the UFC fights, and we're sitting at this local bar, me being the responsible driver, being 9 months pregnant, and I was almost in tears. Like, you want to think your kid can do anything in life, and I was like, my kid can do anything except for UFC fighting. Like, at that moment, I was like, is this what motherhood is? This is like, all of a sudden I have this emotional response to these guys, like, just being very athletic, very talented.
That is
My kid will
someone's
never do
son
that.
up there.
Exactly.
Smashing another
Yeah,
son's
that's
face.
where my fear started.
UFC.
Yeah. And now I'm aware of it on every TV, everywhere we go. Like, I will position him so he cannot see it.
Okay, well, I think we debunked that one pretty well.
Yep.
So the next one that I have on the list here, you can train your baby to sleep when you want. Is that a myth? No. Oh, Becca, you want to? You
She's
seem
laughing.
like she's got a hot take here right off the bat.
No, that's just funny. I mean, I've tried that a lot. It never worked for me.
Training
I
a
mean,
baby?
especially when they got older, and I'm like, you will take a nap, right? Like, like the next thing I know, like, my kid filled up all his drawers with water while he was taking a nap. I don't know.
Clever.
It was the first day we moved into our house, and I'm like, it's nap time. Like, I have things to unpack, and like, I went back in his bathroom. Every drawer was filled with water. But so I don't know. No, I didn't have any luck with that. I still don't. I'm still like, you guys need to go to bed, and then 3 hours later, I can hear their feet like walking around upstairs. I'm like, well, that worked. So I don't know. Maybe you guys figured that out, but
Training.
Yeah. Anyone have luck with sleep training and like making that a thing? Because we'd had a sleep expert on who was like, you can make this happen. You can do this. It's a couple of years ago.
And you believed them?
Well,
She had that special stoplight or something, right?
yeah, it was a special
The baby
light.
knows when the green light is on that
Yeah.
it's time to get up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think the problem with it is that you could nail it one day. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, we did the bath, and we did the songs, and we did the cuddling, and we did the books, and we did all of the things. And then they went to sleep, and you are like high-fiving yourself all over the place, like, we're so good at this. And it's like, and then it never happens again. And then the next night it's like, you better read me 5 books or else. I mean, they're like
you're in a
the little
hostage
negotiation.
situation.
100%. And then you have to balance. I remember that very specifically with Jake, that it was like, well, do I literally read him 5 books and then he goes to bed? Or do I read him 3 books and then he screams about the other 2 books that I didn't read him? I'm like, fine. 5 books it is. I memorized a couple books. So then it was like, lay your head down and I will read you this book that I've just memorized.
You're flipping 2 pages at once.
Yeah. Well, they still will say that dad would skip pages. He would like take multiple pages and like turn them at a time as if they didn't notice.
Clever kids.
Okay. All right. So we're pretty side of debunked on that one. I would say.
Mhm.
That's what I'm gauging from the panel. Okay, heads are nodding. All right. The next one that I have is nothing is worse than the terrible twos. When we were kind of planning this, you had some strong reactions to this one.
Yeah, I think, and you nailed it on the head. The threes were just the terrible twos were fine for me, for both of my kids, but
Mhm.
3, oh my gosh.
It was awful.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You
Terrible
get through terrible
twos.
two, and you're like, this is nothing.
Yeah, I was
compared
like,
to this
my kid's
3-year-old.
a saint. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
And then the second he turned 3, just
Attitude.
an animal, absolute animal. And now
What
we're in feisty 4s. So
Yeah,
that's-
what do they say? Like three-nager? Have I heard that
Mhm.
before?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it's hard because now that I have an almost teenager, I think it's hilarious. Like his attitude about things and his like opinions about things crack me up. I think it's so funny. And especially like the sarcasm, because at this point he gets it. But at
Mhm.
3, when they pull that attitude on you and you're like, you don't even know what you're saying.
but it's so like just raw and real.
And
They will
it's-
tear you down and have no idea.
Yep.
and I don't know where it comes from either. I have no idea. It's almost like clockwork. Once they hit 3, it's.
Yep.
I wish my kids were a little younger. I can't think of any specific things, but I just remember 3s being ugly.
Yeah.
I will say the other bad parenting moment that I thought of
Okay.
was days after my oldest turned 3. And we had made him this banner that was like Super Sam. And we'd like hung it
Aw.
over the fireplace. And it was going to be this tradition. We were going to hang it up every year, and how fun and special that is. And he walked into our room, and I was like inside my closet. And he was standing there, and he was like, why is my banner still up? And I was like, oh, well, we just haven't gotten around to taking it down, but isn't it so fun? And your birthday was great or whatever. And he was like, it's not my birthday anymore. And just the look on his face, I was like, and I just closed the door to the closet in his face and crying on the outside. And I was like, I don't care. Bye. 3.
We're currently in the phase. So we had 2 birthdays, one for family, one for friends. So now he thinks he's 5. Because he turned 4 in his first birthday party, and then he turned 5 for his second birthday party. The logic is like on point,
Yeah.
but now it's the biggest argument. So that's fun. for
Yeah.
me.
What do you know?
Like, all right, you're 5. Cool. We'll deal with 7 and 8 next year. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay, the next one that I have on my list here, which I'm loving this conversation so far, just so you know, going from none to 1 is harder than 1 to more. Did that one make sense? It made sense in my head when I started saying it. None to 1. None to more.
Math.
I think it's all about the age gap. I think that might make it easier. Mine are 3 years apart, and not that you want to just like let them go, out on the town on their own at 3, but I feel like they're a little more self-sufficient. They can function a little bit. So I think that helps. Like if they're right on top of each other, oh my gosh, that would be really, really difficult, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely changes things when you have that second one for sure. Gotta share the attention and all of that. My wife is very equal. Like they have to have equal pretty much everything. But I wouldn't say it was like terribly difficult though.
Yeah. So it wasn't as hard as having 1 and then you brought another one in. It wasn't like the same level of difficulty.
Yeah, no. And then, well, with the second one, I feel like you get a little more lax. I was going at least the speed limit when we brought Noah home. But yeah, things definitely change. But yeah, I wouldn't say for me, anyways, it wasn't like something that was this groundbreaking, way more difficult when Noah came along.
Okay. All right. Same kind of sentiment or
Yeah, I mean,
indifference?
I think we were very lucky, and I always try and be thoughtful of this, that we've always had a lot of family support. And I think that helps a lot, because if you are trying to spread that attention out and it's just the two parents and they're exhausted and there isn't like the grandparents to come and sweep the other one away to like get some fun one-on-one time, so we had a lot of that to help with it, that when it was like you didn't have the strength to do it, and then to have family nearby that would help out with it a lot. So yeah, but I was definitely like, I have two hands, I can have two kids, that's it. So I think it's the three that I don't understand.
Like, when you're outnumbered,
That's where it's
I think, I was like, oh no, what did we just do? Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard. You're like, if you have two parents, like, then you can at least, take one and one take the other. But then when you become outnumbered, I think you have to get a little creative.
Yeah.
And yeah, I will say though, like now when there's just one or even two at my house, I'm like, wow, this is really easy. It's like whenever one was taken away or like gone or at school or whatever, and then we were just back down to two, I'm like, whoa, this is so simple. So I don't know. Yeah, I think once you become outnumbered. But then I've always heard like, if you have more than three, like four, then it's like,
They're taking care of each other.
who
right?
cares?
Yeah.
It's the same. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't wrap my head around that, but I have a lot of friends that say like, no, having a fourth was completely like, didn't change anything.
interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah. So mileage may vary.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I've got another one here about educational toys. Are they always better? Myth or not?
I can definitely speak
Ann?
to that. Being that we only have one child, of course, we wanted the Montessori level toys and everything educational. And I think it didn't take very long for us to just use what worked.
Mhm.
So now it was Coco Melon and he has a tablet. And, I think you have to do whatever works for your family. Of course, knowing like paying attention to what they're getting out of it. But I would say we have not always chosen educational over like just strictly entertainment.
I mean, Tupperware is great.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say, is
Give them a
Tupperware-
cupboard. Give them a cupboard they can open and get
Yeah.
all this stuff out. I mean, we had like a kid's Tupperware cupboard and they could just play in
They
that.
wreak havoc. of that.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just all about what kind of stimulates them and like what Ann said, what they get out of, what are they getting out of it. And to the Tupperware point, I think everybody's probably made the joke that like on a birthday or Christmas or whatever, when they open the present, they play with the wrapping paper
Oh,
or the
yeah.
box
Yeah.
more than the
Yeah.
actual toy. I've seen it happen with both of my kids and other kids. So I really just think it comes down to what stimulates them, because really anything can be educational.
Yeah. That makes sense. I'm just learning. I have no reflection back on this. I'm just taking it all in.
We're just looking at you for approval. That's
I'm like,
Is that the right
tell you
answer?
yes or no.
Will someone hold up a grade?
I'm getting a lot of education from this, and I'm very stimulated. So I'll just say, thanks for being here. Of course. Okay. This one I think has got to be true. All dads want for Father's Day is just for you to be happy. Is that that's a myth or not?
No, everybody's looking at me. I don't like that. I think that's part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a block of time for tea time would be great as well. And some peace and quiet. And,
and socks.
Yeah. And a quiet, warm cup of coffee in the morning. Just that, that moment of silence and what are we doing today? Where are we going today? What do they need? So, but
A little taste of that life pre-children is what you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. For Father's Day, I'd like to pretend I don't have kids for the first hour of the day.
I always feel like that on Mother's Day.
Yeah,
Always.
totally.
I'm like, no, I don't want to get together with my whole family or do something as a family. I'd rather do something by myself.
By myself.
Okay, well, this is good to know. I think it's very helpful for me. I mean, I didn't realize this. So, okay, I just have a few more. Children need to avoid screens entirely. We've kind of touched on this one a little bit. Myth or not?
You can try.
Yeah, good luck.
I think the balance that we came to is realizing, like, when I was growing up, we didn't have laptops or tablets in school. So part of me kind of struggled. Like, of course, we want to keep it limited, but like, I also don't want to hold him back because it could be behind if he doesn't know how to use a tablet or a laptop, which is kind of scary to think of in parenthood.
Yeah.
But so there's a balance, but I don't know that I'll ever find the actual balance. So.
Well, and it's not like there's a recipe. I mean, you want your kids to play outside and you want them to use their imagination and you want them to read books and you want them to play sports and be active. And sometimes it's raining and cold outside and you're tired. And guess what?
Here you go.
I think that it's like with like at work, like dress for your day. It's like the activities are really based on what we can handle for today. And so sometimes you do wake up and read a book and go to the park and do all the things and play a billion baseball games and everybody's feeling really good. And then you know what we're going to reward ourselves with when we get home? Like video games, Bridgerton, like whatever.
I think these are great answers. I'm loving every second of this. I'm just going to wrap it up here with a couple more. Parenting is always a serious business. Is this a myth or not? As it feels like you guys are super serious about everything we've been talking about up to this point.
That would be a myth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it's a balance. Ann already mentioned like screen time and all of that is a balance. There are moments, and it is situational where you need to be serious, but you can't live life super serious. You got to have fun. They have to find joy in things and stuff. So. Yeah, definitely not 100% serious. And for those that know me, no, I'm not always serious. So my kids have quickly learned my humor, my sarcasm. So they now dish it back to me twofold. So maybe I should have been a little more serious with them, I guess, because they pick on me too. So.
Okay. The last one that I have for our myths is it's never too late to undo parenting mistakes. So you guys talked about the worst mistakes that you've made. I mean, is it too late? Your kids are ruined now at this point?
I don't want to say that it's ever too late, but like my 4-year-old is a steel trap memory. So like I will think that he's not paying attention to something that I said or how I said it, and it'll come back in my face weeks later. So I don't know that I can properly answer this question yet.
I think it's interesting because when they're little and you're just trying to make sure that they survive, they like don't have any of those instincts. And you're like, please don't choke on that grape. Or, there's just like certain things where it's really just about survival. Now that the kids are older and I feel like my answers to things and the information I give them actually impacts them and changes the way they think. It's scarier now.
Okay.
Hence the fear. We're wrapping it all up with a bow. But now I feel like the things that I say could be with them forever. And so I think I'd like to believe that things evolve and they can change, but now it feels weightier than it did then. So I think at 4, you're safe, but I don't know when you get to be old enough that they could actually change their opinion or their approach to something because of something you said. So we'll see.
Oh yeah. I think you can undo things and kind of work through things because we're all learning, right? There can be experts out there. And when you asked me to be on here for parenting expert, I laughed. I laughed at you. I'm like, I am no expert, but it is funny, like things that I've said to them or just me being me. And then I see it come out in them. I'm like, okay, just pull the good things, the few good things that there are of me. And, let's look at mom for everything else. So it is kind of fun though to whether it was a mistake or a good thing, where they picked up on the good things because they are always listening. I think maybe we kind of doubt that, but they are definitely listening. And but I think you can always work through things together if there were any mistakes or anything like that.
I love this message. Okay. Last thing that I have, I'm bummed that we're out of time here, but this episode is probably going to drop around Father's Day. And NFM loves dad jokes. So I wondered if you could provide us with your favorite dad joke. Anyone who wants to start?
I printed a few.
Anne has a list.
I'm not a father, so I, went to the interwebs for assistance. What does a baby computer call his father? Data.
Oh.
So silly, but so good.
It worked. There are laughs.
Yeah.
It's true.
Good job.
I'll
Oh,
share
we're
the
reading
love.
them.
I'll share the love. Unless you have one.
I only have one.
Let's hear it.
And I don't, sometimes it's in the delivery, so I might fail this, but where can you find the dog with no legs?
Oh, gosh.
Right where you left him.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
It's the only one I have.
You know, the ones that people just like, the one they latch onto forever. It's
Yeah.
always good.
Yeah, I feel like we should have had Jeff on
Oh,
for this
Yeah.
portion of it.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
So thank you, Ann, because I did not come prepared. Such a dad thing. Which days are the strongest?
I don't know.
Saturday and Sunday. The rest are weekdays.
Oh.
Cute.
It's like one of us will get it here shortly. That's so dumb.
Anybody else? Anyone else have a dad joke?
Nope.
Okay, no.
None of mine are appropriate.
Oh.
So,
Mhm.
nope.
What did let's see if I can I get it right? What did the daddy buffalo say to the baby buffalo on the first day of school? Bye, son.
Oh.
Okay, with
Oh my
that,
God.
Jennifer, Derek, Ann, Becca, Hilary, Scotty, thank you so much for being here today. This has been super fun. And of course, thank you to our listeners. If you like our show, smash that like and subscribe. Send us a comment wherever you listen. Then visit nfm.com. We've got toys. We've got kids' furniture. We've got everything home life. And have a good one. Remember, last message that I'll leave you with is home is what you make it.
Thanks for joining us today for I Am Home with Tyler Weisskopf, Hilary Waltemath, and Becca Sudbeck. No one knows home quite like NFM. So if you'd like more information on home design at NFM, please check out nfm.com and leave us a review on the podcast platform of your choice.